let's learn about used to and am used to and how are they different. So first, if you haven't seen my first video on just used to, definitely go back and check that out because you really should have a good understanding of used to before we add on am used to. So quick review. Why do we use used to? Two reasons mostly. We use used to for an action that was true in the past or it happened in the past, possibly a routine in the past, but it doesn't happen anymore and it's not true anymore. And so an example of that might be I used to live in New York City, or I used to take the subway to work, right? In these situations, the person lived in New York City in the past, but they don't anymore. And this person took the subway to work in the past, but they do not do that anymore. The other way we can use it is to explain an action that didn't happen in the past, but it does happen now. So this would be like the negative form of used to, which would use didn't used to. So an example might be, I didn't used to live in a small town. I didn't used to walk to work. In these examples, the person did not live in a small town in the past, but they do now. And they did not used to walk to work, but this is something that they do now. All right, so how do we create or format used to? In this case, used to is being used as a modal. So like all modals, can, should, will, we're going to use a verb one or base verb after it. So used to plus verb one. And an example is from this guy thinking down here in his past. He's thinking, I used to play hockey in the winter. I didn't used to watch a lot of football. And again, what does this mean? It means that in the past, he played a lot of hockey, but he doesn't do that anymore. And in the past, he didn't watch a lot of football, but now he does. I need to point out here too that when we use the negative didn't used to, we drop the D on used. Okay, so we don't want to say used because again, used to means something we did in the past that we don't anymore, right? So used to is functioning as this like past tense modal. So just like any other past tense constructions, if I have didn't here, the verb that follows after has to be verb one or your base verb, right? So we would say like didn't eat, didn't go, didn't used to. We wouldn't say didn't ate, didn't went, didn't used to. Okay, so just a little thing to point out because it is actually a common mistake that a lot of people make. Okay, so now let's jump into am used to. And this could be am used to, are used to, or is used to, any of the be verbs. So we use am used to for an action that you are accustomed to now. Accustomed is kind of a big word. So another way to explain it is an action that you are familiar with now or an action that you have become comfortable with now. So an example of that might be I am used to living a slower life. This could mean that the person used to live in New York City, they don't anymore, they live in a small town, and now it is comfortable to them to live kind of a slower, quieter life. We can also use am used to for a thing that you are accustomed to now or a thing that you are familiar or comfortable with. It doesn't have to actually be an action. So an example of this might be I am used to the quiet now. All right. The quiet, of course, is a noun. And so this person again is saying that living in a small town where it's really quiet, that is something that they are now comfortable with. So what is the format for am used to, or how do we create sentences with is, am, or are used to? So in this case, used to is kind of being used like a continuous tense because we do have the am, is, and are. And so when we have the am, is, and are, we're going to keep used to as a modal, but then we have to add a verb ing because anytime we have a verb after is, am, are, we need to have an ing. So an example of this would be I am used to playing hockey. I am not used to watching football. In this context, what the person is saying is that they're comfortable or familiar with playing hockey now. I am not used to watching football. So again, they are saying that they are not familiar with this yet. It is still new. It's still not maybe a part of their routine. So again, these are going to take an ing because we have the is, am, or are starting our verb phrase. We can also use, like I said, used to with an object because it's not always about an action. And so in this case, again, it's is, am, or are plus used to plus an object or a noun. So an example could be I am used to cold weather. I am not used to the heat. Again, in context, this just means that the person is now familiar or comfortable with colder weather, even though that was maybe not part of their routine at some point in their life. And for I am not used to the heat, they are saying that they're not comfortable, they're not familiar with it yet. It's still new to them, and they're still kind of adjusting to living in a hotter climate. Okay, let's do some practice now. I would like you to read the four sentences below and then go ahead and write the correct answer. Are we using verb one because we have a modal, or are we using verb ing because we have the verb to be as a part of our modal? So go ahead and pause the video, write down the answers, and when you're ready to see the correct answers, hit play. All right, let's take a look at number one. So I have is used to, and so because I have is, I'm going to need the ing on the end of sleeping. Let's go ahead and read number one together so we can practice our speaking fluency. Number one, Jesus is used to sleeping late on weekends, but now he has a newborn daughter. Taking a look at number two, we have didn't used to, and that is the modal. So what we're going to need is drink. Again, let's read it together for a fluency practice. Number two, he didn't used to drink coffee, but he needs it now. Number three, we have isn't used to. And so again, because I have the isn't, I'm going to need my ing on changing. Let's go ahead and read number three together. Jesus isn't used to changing diapers in the middle of the night. All right, last one, number four, used to just the modal, so we're going to use think. Here we go, let's read it. Number four, he used to think his life was complete, but now he knows he was missing the love of his child. All right, let's also look at this very quickly in context. What do these mean? So again, Jesus is used to sleeping late on weekends. This means that this is something that is his habit or his routine, but it looks like it's going to change now that he has a daughter. Taking a look at number two, he didn't used to drink coffee. That simply means in the past he didn't drink coffee, but he's definitely drinking coffee now. For number three, Jesus isn't used to changing diapers. That's just suggesting that this is not familiar to him yet. This is not a part of his routine yet. This is still new to him. And number four, he used to think his life was complete, simply means that this is what he thought in the past. My life is perfect. But now that he has a daughter, he knows that his life is even better. How'd you do? For this last practice, I'm going to have you read the sentences and then write the correct verb in the blank. So again, check if we're using the modal used to for verb one, or if we're using isn't used to, where we need to add in the ing. And I did add in a couple verbs down here that you can choose from. There are 6 we only have four blanks, so of course, two of them will not be correct. Go ahead and pause the video so that you can write out these sentences, and when you're ready to check, hit play. All right, let's take a look at number one, and the answer should be have. Let's read it together. Number one, Maya used to have a lot of friends in college. Number two, the answer should be being. Let's read it. Number two, she isn't used to being alone now that she lives in a new city. All right, number three, the correct answer is pay. Number three, Maya didn't used to pay a lot for her dorm room. And number four, the correct answer should be live. Let's read it. Number four, she used to live with roommates. So again, what does this mean? For number one, it just means that Maya had a lot of friends in the past in college, but now for some reason she does not have that many friends. And number two tells us why. It says she now lives in New York or in a new city. And so she isn't used to being alone. This means that this isn't familiar for her yet. This isn't comfortable for her yet. It's definitely a new situation for her. Number three says Maya didn't used to pay a lot for her dorm room. So again, in the past, she didn't have to spend a lot of money to live in a dorm room. Those are typically a lot cheaper than living in an apartment. And number four says she used to live with roommates. So again, in the past, she lived with roommates, but we can tell now that she doesn't have roommates and she probably lives alone. So, as a quick review, used to and didn't used to are about actions in the past. Used to means that it happened in the past, but it doesn't happen anymore. And didn't used to means it didn't happen in the past, but it does happen now. When we want to bring this idea into the present, we're going to use is, am, or are, used to, and then verb ing. And that simply means that if it is something that we are used to doing now, it is something that we are comfortable with, something that we are familiar with, something that is now a part of our lives. If we use the negative, uh, you know, isn't used to doing, then that means that it is still new to us. It is not familiar, not comfortable. We are not accustomed to doing it yet. Do you have any questions? Go ahead and leave them in the comments below and try to create some sentences as well about your life. What are you used to? What aren't you used to? Are you used to doing something right now or not quite used to doing something right now? Let us know. And as always, thanks for watching.